Hello and welcome to Newsline. I'm Tom Major.
And I'm Caleb Kissick. Coming up in the program, should Australia allow citizens who have joined ISIS back into the country? Horrific evidence of Vietnamese cruelty to Australian cattle, and why greyhounds make great pets.
But first, Indonesia and Malaysia emerged from talks this afternoon with an agreement to provide temporary protection to 7,000 Rohingya refugees stranded at sea. In recent weeks, nearly 3,000 Rohingya have fled Burma seeking refuge in countries along the Andaman Sea coast. Thai authorities have now disrupted people smuggling operations, leaving more than 2,000 Rohingya stranded at sea without food or water as the smugglers abandoned their boats off the coast of Bangladesh and Burma. Over 25,000 Rohingya boarded smugglers' boats in the first 3 months of this year.
A man fell from a CBD building today during a protest against the Commonwealth Bank's investment in coal mining projects. The 29-year-old man fell as he attempted to abseil down the building on the corner of Burke and Elizabeth Streets. A woman also had to be helped to safety after getting into trouble while on the building. Witnesses said the man appeared to be unrestrained and not wearing a safety harness. Police rescued the pair at 11 a.m. this morning, and the man was treated at the scene for an ankle injury.
Since the rise of Islamic State, an increasing number of young Australians are becoming radicalised. Jess Davis reports on the search for answers as governments, community groups and academics attempt to counter this disturbing trend.
So far, around 70 Australians have left the country to join the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. ISIS's slick propaganda machine is targeting young men across the world. Boys such as Jake Belati, recruiters such as Neil Prakesh, and Adelaide doctor Tariq Kamla.
Organisations like ISIS, who are based on violence and nothing to do with religion, they use social media as a tool to propagate their ideologies and to recruit a lot of youth.
The challenge for communities and families is convincing young people to stay away from complicated and messy overseas wars, particularly when those going to fight are not clear who they'll be fighting for.
To go there's no reason. In which group you're going to? Why are you going?
Dandenong and Springvale have been identified as high-risk areas due to their large number of minority groups and high youth unemployment. A group of young men were arrested in Springvale in relation to a terrorist attack plot at an Anzac Day memorial service.
So we need to have a prevention. We need to work closely with school, with parents, and with the police as well.
Cases of Australians leaving to fight are now emerging regularly. The federal government has introduced harsh new laws to prevent people from leaving and punishing them on their return. However, community programs that directly connect with young people are seen as the most effective preventative measure.
With those run by communities, are usually done by the community, organised by the community, for the community, so they're always more effective. But unfortunately, those sorts of projects get the least amount of funding.
The challenge now for Australia is to win the hearts and minds of young Muslims who are feeling disenfranchised from the wider community, to help channel their anger away from violence and towards a more hopeful future. Jess Davis, Newsline.
Thanks, Jess. So what do Melburnians think? Should Australia let citizens back into the country if they've been involved with terrorism abroad? We took to the streets to find out.
I think they deserve a second chance. I think young people are especially impressionable, and putting a kid in jail for 25 years is not going to do them any sort of rehabilitation.
I don't think they deserve a second chance. I think they should definitely be put in jail if they come back to Australia.
The PM is basically responding to his own uncertainty to the whole situation that's happening in the Middle East.
No, when they come back, they shouldn't be jailed for 25 years. That's something that a murderer would get. That's not how our justice system works.
25 years is pretty huge. I don't entirely agree with that one, no.
Yeah, they have to be punished in a way, but maybe 25 years is way too long.
It's different if they go over there and then come back to their own country, to their home. So, no.
And now to more news highlights with Michelle Rimmer.
Thanks, Caleb. Well, as the Abuse Royal Commission in Ballarat continues, there are claims Cardinal George Pell knew about the crimes of paedophile priest Gerald Ridsdale years before he was charged. Secret church documents submitted to the Royal Commission reveal Cardinal Pell helped move Ridsdale between parishes. The move came decades after complaints of abuse were first made against Ridsdale and years before his last known offence. The Commission heard Ridsdale abused every boy aged between 10 and 16 at a Mortlake school and more than 50 children in total as he moved between 9 Victorian parishes over 3 decades. A social media campaign is urging Pope Francis remove Cardinal Pell from his senior position in the Vatican and force him to explain any involvement in the cover-up. Shocking and distressing footage of Australian cattle having their skulls repeatedly smashed with sledgehammers has been captured in Vietnam. Animals Australia launched an investigation into live exports to Vietnam after industry representatives admitted Australian cattle are being slaughtered outside approved supply chains.
Thousands of cattle have been lost from approved supply chains, and the fate of those cattle has been to be bashed to death with sledgehammers. That is the normal practice outside of approved abattoirs in Vietnam.
The RSPCA say Australian politicians knew about the conditions of live cattle exports in Vietnam as early as 2013.
This is a problem that's 2 years in the making. So the first report that went to the government on cattle being sledgehammered to death was in June 2013. There have been 6 reports since then and a new one just last week.
Agriculture Minister Barnaby Joyce said the live export industry will not be shut down following these allegations. And the GST crackdown on online services continues, with taxi service Uber the latest to come under fire. As of August 1st, Uber drivers will be required to charge 10% GST on cab fares and pay tax on all earnings. Uber is currently a cheap alternative to regular taxis, but there are fears fares could rise if drivers pass the extra cost on to passengers. Uber General Manager David Rawsheim says the new tax isn't a concern for Uber, but for the 9,000 ordinary Australians who use the service. That's not good news for us, Tom.
Not at all. Thanks, Michelle. Still to come, why greyhounds make great pets. We review the movie The Imitation Game and all the latest in sport and weather.